Well, speaking at the USIBC India Ideas Summit, we also caught up with the Minister of State for Electronics and IT, Rajeev Chandrasekhar. We asked him about very specific and consistent demands coming from the US for relaxation of data transfer and data localization norms. On that one point, he answered by saying that before the data protection regime is brought into place in the country, there will be extensive consultation done, especially on these provisions of data transfer and data localization. Where on being questioned about how big tech could potentially be a thorn in US-India relations on that, he responded by saying that the aim and the ambition of the Indian government is in fact to target and to regulate harm, potential harm that may be caused by the internet and online actors. Take a look. It's a big occasion. You mentioned on the dais that this is $1 trillion opportunity. What room does that provide for the two countries to participate and partake in this $1 trillion opportunity to cooperate essentially?
No, look, I think Mr. Shivaraman of Western Digital said it very beautifully. There is a certain inevitability about India's rise and India's progress in the digital economy. And really, it is for the US and India to work together to like I said, there is a real opportunity here. There is a real opportunity to lead the world in innovation and growth. And it is really time now for the US and India to work much, much closer in pursuing this digital economy opportunity. And as Shivaraman of Western Digital said, there is an inevitability to this growth of India in the digital space. And it is for countries to come together with India and partner with India going forward.
So one concern that we've often heard, courtesy platforms such as USIBC, is the need for India to relax some of the data transfer and data localization norms. Is that something that the government is looking at?
Look, everybody, like I said in the beginning of my conversation that everybody today has a view on all things data. And we will obviously undertake extensive public consultations before we do the new data protection law and indeed the Digital India Act. But we know what our national interests are. We know what is required for us to grow our economy into $1 trillion digital economy. And there will be some counterbalancing interests from other countries. We will talk through those. Our interest is not very, very different from what the US wants. But there are certain areas that we have to look at, which is digital sovereignty, our fundamental right of our Indian citizens to protect their data. So we will see how this evolves. There is really no deal-breaking principle on the table today, but there are many issues and concerns that a natural consultation and natural progress on a conversation will address.
You mentioned some outstanding issues. Is big tech regulation one of them? Differing views on either side?
Look, I think the whole world is grappling with this issue of how do we make the internet a safe and trusted space. The internet has tremendous power to do good, as you know, but it also has increasingly become a power to do harm. And you saw the Wikipedia issue 2 days ago, where you can create a law and order problem. You can incite communities by simply having somebody from across the border edit a Wikipedia page and create mayhem. So there is a real conversation that needs to be had by all like-minded countries about how do we address this issue of user harm on the internet. How do we together, India, US, Australia, Japan, Singapore, all like-minded countries, how do we make the internet a safe and trusted space for all our citizens? Because in India, in a couple of years, 1.2 billion Indians are going to use the internet. There are going to be pensioners, there are women, there are children, all of whom who use the internet for their daily needs. And so it is imperative and it is a responsibility and moral duty of the government of the day to make the internet a safe and trusted place. And so regulating harm is part of that, not necessarily about big tech alone or small tech. It is necessary for us to create do's and don'ts that make the internet a safe and trusted place.
One final question, sir. You mentioned the data protection regime. Can we see it as soon as perhaps the winter session?
We will see a very contemporary, very global standard set of laws that basically enable our $1 trillion goal, the Prime Minister's India's decade vision, and protect the rights and interests of all Indian citizens. You will see that at the earliest.